Hello, adventurer. It's good to see you. You have made it to the morning grind.
Welcome, welcome.
It's the live stream at the beginning of the Geekverse, where we talk about all types of topics in geekdom, gaming, and fantasy, with an emphasis on being constructive and creating the things that we want to exist in the world.
It's all on the grind, Sizemore. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
That's exactly right. There are a lot of adventures to be had today. Dungeons to explore and monsters to slay, and who knows what a random encounter might send our way. That's why we have to prepare, so settle in now for the morning grind with your favorite beverage in hand.
Tea? Or maybe something a little stronger. I've got a few bottles of the old Wynyard left.
Whatever you want. Pull up a chair.
Dude.
If you're feeling fancy, how about a cappuccino? Or a frappuccino? Or how about an espresso?
Just tea, thank you.
Sounds good to me, Gandalf. Whatever you want. I'm just glad you're here.
Everyone is welcome. You can just watch if you want. You don't have to worship anything you don't want to worship.
Thank you, Mike. But be forewarned.
Sometimes we get really strange characters around here.
Wait, what's that you say? Why can't you come and be a part of the stream?
My wife would disown me.
Oh no, I bet she'll be fine with it. Come on in.
Am I scared for my safety? No.
What are we supposed to do?
Everybody do the secret handshake.
Secret cultist handshake.
Oh, now do wizards who love each other.
This, my friend, is a science.
I still don't have gifts, but it's fine.
It's all on the grind, son. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
Dude, this would be a sick place to bring the band.
Indeed it would be, Dave. It really would. I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome, glad to have you here. Oh look, here's someone new.
Is this the cultist meetup?
Yes it is.
Come to hang out? Please accept me. I have nothing else.
Okay, we accept you. Everyone's welcome here.
Brought some snacks.
Well, that makes things even better.
You want some coffee?
I don't drink coffee.
You sure? It's cultist coffee.
What makes it cultist coffee?
I'm a cultist and I'm drinking it.
Oh. Then I'll have some.
What exactly is going on here?
I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome. It's so great to have you. Oh, and look, here comes another stranger.
Can we help you?
Yes, fellow cultists. I could really use some food.
Oh yeah? Welcome. We have donuts.
Oh, it's me. I'm glad I'm here. I'm sure you have a few questions for me, though.
What's your name? Who do you work for? What god do you worship?
Great questions, Rob.
I'm Steve King, and I worship Nyarlathotep.
No, not really. I'm just Heath, and I won't be worshiping anything this morning. But I will be your host. Welcome to the office. We're going to have a great time. I've got my coffee ready, because now it's time for the morning grind.
If you could become a fish, that would be amazing. Then I could command you with my mental fish powers.
Good morning, everyone. How are you doing? I am feeling tired here. I was working all yesterday trying to get stuff done. I realized actually that on one level I completely wasted yesterday on one task. I've been uploading a bunch of things because I've been trying to set up the different channels, and then I realized that after like all day uploading, like jamming up my internet, doing all day uploading yesterday, I realized there was a problem with the specifications and the videos couldn't process. So on that project, I completely lost an entire day of work, and that sucks. Oh, today is the 15th. Oh, I thought yesterday was today's the 15th. Yeah, I thought yesterday was the 15th. Okay. So that sucked. But on the other hand, I did almost get very close to getting the digital HeroQuest up and running, and I'm going to share that with you today. There are only a few things left, which I hope to be able to finish soon, although I might have to go to sleep because I was up late last night, and then I couldn't go to sleep because I was thinking about our Westmarches style games and things like that. And then, well, here I am. So hopefully I can finish the HeroQuest today, but I might have to sleep. So I hope you are doing well. So welcome to the office. Welcome to the morning grind. Let's see who all is here. We got Brett here. Good morning. Lady of Pain. Stray is here. BGD is here. Let's see. Zero the Blade. Welcome. A special welcome to all the channel members here who are making things happen, making this channel happen, whether it's the morning grind or any of the other projects that we're doing. Thank you so much to the channel members. If you're enjoying this, please do consider becoming a channel member. Robert is here. Robert says, morning, back from vacation. What did I miss? Well, welcome back from vacation. Good morning, PH. Good morning. Let's see. Nightmare is here. JDM. Good morning. Lots of people here. Mike, good morning. Good morning. Sable is here. Mike says, sounds like you gained a day in there. Well, does that no, I am not catch up. I'm not caught up. Good morning, Drew. Good to see you. So, first of all, let's breathe and sip. I've got my Witch's Brew mug this morning with my iced coffee. So I've got Witch's Brew this morning. Let's go ahead and let's take 2 sips. I'm going to be ready for some fall weather when it comes in here. It's hot here. All right, let's take 2 sips, two breaths, and then take our sip. Do it with me. This is the Mental Health Portion Show. Everybody together now. 2 deep breaths. Here we go. Inhale. Exhale. And sip. There we go. Let's see. So, yes, Stray says has got the link to Ravenkeep in here in the chat. This is the link to ravenkeep.net. This is the store that I put up for the things that we create here. And I am doing a bit of a clean out here to clean out some of the stuff from the warehouse. And that includes Witch's Brew mugs. So for a few more days, I actually have everything on the site, basically everything, almost everything on the site, 50% off. And everything for $99 or more ships free. I'll probably close the sale out at the end of the week here. So if you want, and there are just a few items of some of these left. If you would like any items from the Ravenkeep online store, this is a good time to come and get it. We've got the Fish Do Not Drink tea mugs, the Witch's Brew coffee mugs, the Cultist coffee mugs. I still have a little bit, like 2 bags, I believe, of Cultist coffee left. Or it could be, well, okay, actually only 1 bag of the Cultist coffee left. So if you would like it, please come and get it. And then also the board games I designed, War of Kings, which is a cross between Settlers of Catan and Risk. It is kingdom building, a strategy game of kingdom building and warfare. So if you would like War of Kings, we've got War of Kings right here. We made this because we used to play, my brother and I used to play Catan when it was real popular. We really wanted to be able to send an army over to go and take out somebody's villages and burn them down. When somebody builds in the place where you wanted to build, or at least conquer them. So we created War of Kings, and then Enchantress was our second game right here. So there are 4 boxes of Enchantress remaining, and I don't anticipate, I don't ever plan on reprinting either one of those. So if you would like these, this is your opportunity to get them over on ravenkeep.net. The dice trays, the Yogg-Sothoth is the Gate dice tray. These are all handmade dice trays. That's a pretty cool looking dice tray. Fantasy horror dice tray. The dice trays are also 50% off. Those were handmade. They've got a fantastic rolling surface made from play mats with foam rubber beneath them. And then the dice also clatter really nicely on the wooden edges. So if you would like a dice tray, dice trays are there. Yogg-Sothoth Knows the Gate, also pretty cool with the wizard there. So if you would like one, please come in. Check those out. Also, my 10mm miniature line is there as well. So please check those out. The sale will be on for just a few more days. Good morning, Ryan. All right. Also, speaking of James right here, James, I'll send you the links tonight. I got to make up, or this afternoon, I've got to make up our thumbnail for tonight because on Table Talk tonight, James will be on Table Talk. James is going to be talking to Doug about the Heroine's Labyrinth. Mike says, how many of the 10 millimeter do you need for the game? Are you talking about War of Kings? You don't have to, if you're talking about War of Kings, you don't have to, you don't actually need any of the 10 millimeter miniatures to play War of Kings. War of Kings is completely standalone, but what we wanted to do was we wanted to have the ability to have miniatures. So we weren't able to put miniature armies in the War of Kings box. We were able to do that. We were able to put miniature villages and fortresses in the box, but we weren't able to put miniature armies in the box. And so there are tokens which represent your armies in War of Kings. So you can completely use those. You don't have to have any 10 millimeter, but we created a 10 millimeter line for War of Kings. So if you wanted to, like we wanted to, you could actually create army stands out of 10 millimeter figures. And it is pretty cool to play that way. Or you can use the 10 millimeter line for any other game that might require 10 millimeter miniatures. I know Sable is a fan of the dice trays. Daniel says, oh, so quote here, I really want to be able to send an army over and go take somebody's villages, burn them down. All right, so what else is going on? I was really hoping to finish this HeroQuest board yesterday, but I didn't quite get done because I really would have liked to have done a tech demo today. Tomorrow is supposed to be World Building Wednesday, and I've got the edits for the Tales of Ravivania World Primer, so I really would like for it to remain World Building Wednesday. But I've been working on this online version of HeroQuest. So instead of doing a tech demo of it today with people, we might have to do that tomorrow. That's kind of what I was thinking. We could do it with people, but we might have to wait until tomorrow and then just kick World Building Wednesday until the next week. That might be the case. But let's see. Let's go over here to. So this is where I am. It's looking pretty good. So this is almost, you could almost completely play HeroQuest inside of this. So, and I think it's going to work. I think it's going to work. So I got a bunch of new characters loaded in. So we've got the skeleton, and I think they're pretty recognizable on the board. That's the zombie right there. That is the mummy. That one works, I think. The two that look the closest, I think, so you go over here to greenskins, and so that's the goblin right there. Now you can click on the, or you don't, if you just hover over them, if you want to see what it is, you can, it will enlarge on the screen for you. You're seeing that enlargement, right? Are you seeing that enlargement? Uh-oh. Let me see if that enlargement is being shown on the screen. Oh, yes, it is. Okay, excellent. I was hoping for the sake of broadcasting, if you're trying to look at something more closely, like on Dinner and a Board Game or something like that. So that is working. So I got those. One of the issues that I might need to change up, might make this as a note on non-issue or a known issue here, is it looks like the goblin and the orc. I think you can tell the difference between the goblin and the orc right there, but the goblin and the orc are kind of close when you're looking at them small. When you're looking at them small, they're not when you log in, when you zoom in. So there is the goblin, and then there is the orc right there. But it looks like I might need, some people might get confused about that. So I might need to change up the goblin and the orc a little bit. And then this right here, I could not get a cyclops, so I made like a cyclops looking femur. So we've got a abomination, a Lovecraftian style deep one. That's what I'm thinking of. A Lovecraftian style deep one here for the femur. That's kind of a more new style thing. I've kind of built it, with the old style here, the classic style, but I think that works. I could not get the femur to work. So we've got a deep one here. Let's see, down here, we got a helmet for a Chaos Warrior. And then we also have the Chaos Sorcerer figure right here. So that's a good Zargon looking figure. It kind of looks like Zargon. So I at least the way I think of it, kind of looks like the character on Zargon's screen, which they now say is supposed to be Morcar or Zargon, but I don't believe it. Excuse me. It's supposed to, they are saying, and I did a video on this, that the character on the screen, on the original screen, is supposed to be Mentor. I just do not believe it, though. I just do not believe it. That's a good Zargon look right there. And then also got the gargoyle right there. So got all of the figures over here. I need to make a note and make sure I export and save this. I do not want to lose this work, because it's important to know that all the rooms in this game are temporary. We're really pushing this software to its limit. I mean, this is a real limit of this software. It takes a bit for some of the items to load because there's so many different graphics in here. I've tried my best to keep the graphics as low res as possible, but I want them to be able to show up for the, especially if you hover over them, to show people what something is, for the sake of, dinner and a board game, or if you want, you need to be able to read cards and things like that too. There are other ways to do that. There are more efficient ways to design your cards in this. I really would like to use this for some other kind of game design. For prototyping and things like that. And if you're building from the ground up and not trying to replicate somebody else's game, there's some more efficient ways to do this. SVGs are really good. SVGs are small. So if you can do SVGs, that's great. In some cases, I wasn't able to do that, so I ended up using JPEGs and PNGs. But if you're starting from the ground up, you can be more efficient. I got the doors here. So I think I showed you that yesterday. I got the doors here, and the doors will sometimes, like, you might need a door going the other way. An advantage of HeroQuest is that you never have to have a door or a piece of furniture or something like that that's at 18 degrees. If you think this, again, thinking about what's the most you can do versus what's the least you can do. Now, I do like hexes. I'm generally a hex fan, but man, grids are easy. Grids are easy. So you can set this up to make sure that if you need to rotate it, you can rotate it. There we go. And it'll fall down exactly to 90 degrees. So if you want to put a door there, you don't ever have to worry about your door getting to like 17 degrees or something like that. It locks to every 90 degrees. And then you just click it and it turns black. Whoop. You click it and it turns black, and that's how you can indicate open doors versus closed doors. So once you've got black right there, you can see where you can move. So that works pretty well, I think. We got, of course, the blocked corridors. So if you're trying to block a corridor, well, there we go. Pit trap. Heroes can fall into pit traps, of course. So blocked corridor. Pit trap right there. We got the pit trap. We got the falling rock traps right here. And then we also have some tokens to set by something, to like some monster, to indicate the number of wounds that it's got, or body points of damage that it's taken. Let's see. We got the double corridor block. This was, like I said, this was a complicated one to set up. One Night Werewolf was much easier. I want to do, like I was saying, I want to do, it's not my fault, and that'll be much easier too. But hey, if you can do HeroQuest, then you can probably do just about any type of board game. We got the double, and the double, I realized actually the double does also do the same thing where you can rotate it 90 degrees. But actually, as I did that, I realized you probably don't ever need to do that. You never have to put the double block rotated 90 degrees, because it's always in these two double corridors here, and they're always oriented the same way on the board. So how about that? We got the spiral staircase to put you down. See if you set, yep, so that sets on top of that. Okay. So your heroes can start in the spiral staircase, and you can turn that around too. I did make that turnable so that you can make it look right. There you go. So that way it looks like it's coming down and into the room. So we got one spiral staircase that's ready. Over here, let's see what's people going on in here. Yeah, it does kind of have the Green Goblin kind of look. I didn't notice that. Good morning, Andrew. All you have to do to get the femur to work is to move your legs. Yes. Hey, Chronos Kyron. Please do like and sub. Brett says this is coming together nicely, Heath. Yes, it's coming together nicely, looking good, Heath. Thank you. Yeah, I'm impressed that it is working this well. Like I said, this is definitely pushing this game to its limit. This is definitely pushing it to its limit. This virtual tabletop here, it's pushing it to its limit, but it is working, and there isn't much more to add. There are a few things to add, so I think it's going to be able to do it without like completely crashing. Double block can be used in rooms to divide them up and have a maze effect. Yes, that's true. I don't know that ever happens in the base set. It might. But, in the Elf Quest, the double block was used to inside a room. And, it might have been just in that orientation anyway. But there's no reason why you couldn't put it in the other orientation. So that is good. So I might as well keep it that way because, yes, in some quest, you might have a double block inside of a room that could be spent. That's a non-standard use of it, I would say. But it is there. That was in the Elf Quest pack. Yeah, the Elf Quest pack where one was inside of a room. So yes, that's a good point. Totally looking awesome, by the way. Thank you. So I'm glad people like it. We're going to experiment with it for both general play and for dinner and a board game. So what else? So I was showing you that when players sit down, we're going to be able to track body points and mind points on the screen for people. So that's there. That was there yesterday. I loaded in all of the character stuff. So we've got, I made male and female versions of all the different characters. So we've got the dwarf. So the heroes have the burgundy behind them. I tried to make sure that what was behind them, their color, the white didn't work for the undead behind. So the undead is a light gray because there's some things that like don't work on the undead or something like that. That way it's kind of easy to signal what type of monster it is. It's some kind of green skin, or it's the dark gray then for chaos warriors and the gargoyle. But over here, burgundy indicates a hero. So I've got the dwarf hero right here. I actually really like that dwarf. That's a pretty good looking dwarf right there. Elf right here, male dwarf, male elf, male wizard right here. That's the female dwarf. So I made alternate versions of all of them, both male and female, and then you can just set whichever ones you don't need out of the way. So we do have a female dwarf. We've got the barbarian right here. We've got a female wizard. I also like her. She's got kind of a weird thing going on with her hat. She's wearing like a cloak combination wizard robe, hat, and cloak. I've never seen something like that before, but that's pretty cool. So you see instead of a hood on like your cloak, it comes up, but it has your pointy hat on top of it. So female wizard right there. That's the female barbarian. Female elf right there, and then male wizard. Okay, so we got 8 heroes, 4 heroes, but we got tokens representing both men and women for each one. This is a known issue that I've got to replace some of these cards. I wanted you to have the starting cards out. So you can check out, if you're sitting down to play and you never played before, or you can just scroll over and you can see which person you want to be. But I noticed that the elf here, it says +1, 2 red dice +1s. It looks like this is actually some type of homebrew scan or something where the elf could move +1 and the dwarf could move -1, or moved -1. Maybe not that big of a deal. Oh, you know what? This is slightly different because that is not. That looks like somebody has clipped out these heroes from the box art. Yeah, I thought that elf looked a bit different there, and that dwarf looks a bit different. That's not a problem though. But what is an issue is that it says 2 red dice -1 for his movement, and then 2 red dice +1. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make sure that everything is here in this game as classic, the standard system as classic as I can. So that's a known issue. I got to change those out. But then if you flip it over, so it takes a little bit to load. But if you flip it over, you have your action reference. So it's a double. Everybody's hero card is double-sided, so you can see exactly what your actions are adjacent to a monster. Attack adjacent to a monster, cast a spell, search for treasure, search for secret doors, search for traps, or disarm a trap. So that is for each person. So you should be able to, yeah. So if you once you choose a character to play, then this is your down here. This is your hand. So you can drag things in and out of your hand. So you can put the reference down here. And then if you're playing, you can scan over just to reference your character for attack dice, defense dice, body dice. Or if you need an action reference, you can flip it over and it's in your hand right there. So everybody can take their card. We've got all of the spell cards. And again, this is just, I'm not trying to do everything at the moment, like all expansions. I'm just trying to get the core set right now up and ready. So we got water spell, air spell, fire spell, and earth spells. All of them are here. If you click and hold the 3 or whatever number, the number tells you how many are stacked up in that particular area. So I got 16 of these single blocks, but like these are each stacks of 3 cards, like they should be, because there are 3 cards in each one. If you hold that down, if you hold down the 3, you can pick up the entire stack. So if you ever need to move an entire stack of something, you just grab the number, and then you can grab the entire stack. If you just grab the top one, like grab the icon or the image, you're grabbing 1 off the stack. So water spell right here. So being able to read the cards was important, and that works. So can you see that? Let's see how it's going on the broadcast, because I also want people to be able to read it, but then also if it's streaming, for people to be able to read those. Because when I was doing Dinner and a Board Game, I went through and did all of that post-processing editing to put up all the cards on the screen. But lo and behold, here we've got a way to actually put the card up on the screen in the middle of the game. Now I realize that it's going to only be one person. The God's Eye view of the board is going to be there, so it's probably going to be my screen that's streaming. So somebody will have to set it on the table, and then I'll have to put my cursor over it to bring that up. So if somebody's casting sleep, but on the other hand, somebody can read it or whatever. But I can read that very clearly on my screen, and it looks like it's broadcasting very well too. So sleep here, the spell puts a monster into a sleep, so it cannot move, attack, cast spells, or defend itself. The spell can be broken at once or on a future turn by the monster rolling 1 red die for each of its mind points. If a 6 is rolled, the spell is broken, may not be used against mummies, zombies, or skeletons. So that works. Flip it over. I can put that right here. So if you choose the water spells, well, all of them should be like that. So like there's Genie right there. Fire, courage right there. Earth spells, heal body. But if you pick the water spells, you put them down in your hand. There you go. So you've got them down here in your hand. If you're playing so maybe I'm playing the elf. So I've got my elf card reference down here. I got my action card reference on the back. And then I also have all of my spells right here. So if you've got them down in your hand, then you just run over the card with your mouse, and then you can read your card and figure out what it does. That's really important too, obviously. So I've got all the player stuff sitting out on the board right now. But that you just sit down and you'll be picking up those things. And you'll be putting them, each player will be putting them in their hand. So it'll clear the board a bit, but I'm really happy. I love cards, and that's why I was thinking about, which, I've said multiple times on this live stream. So if I'm prototyping something, I can create cards, and there are faster ways and more efficient ways to make cards with spreadsheets using this system, which is really nice. But I want you to be able to easily reference your cards during play. Click. You can control what happens when something leaves your hand. And and put on the board, because sometimes for some kind of games it's really important, like in One Night Werewolf, that if you take something out of your hand, you're never putting it face up. You're putting it face down so the other players can't see it. So you can have a specific deck of cards anytime it leaves your hand and is set on the table, automatically flip face down. So that's important. That way nobody can accidentally screw up. You know, if it's something that is supposed to be hidden from the other players when you play it, you can't accidentally screw up and expose it. But in this case, you can also set it so that it's always in exactly the same way that you have it in your hand. And so that's what I have it for the spell card set. So if I'm casting sleep, I can just put sleep on the table right there. And it's in the same orientation face up that it was in my hand. So, you know, because there's no reason, there's never a situation where you would have to disguise the fact that you're casting sleep or something. So, I mean, you could, if you put it in your hand and you flip it over and then you put it on the table, you can do that if you want. But you don't really have to, if you're playing sleep, you're probably playing it face up. And then if you click the number over there, you can say, well, you can shuffle it. Not really a reason to need to shuffle the spell deck, but you can that's where you shuffle things. And then if you say flip stack, you can flip the entire stack over. So that's if I just click that and then I flip that right over there and then I say flip stack, I've got one card that is well, actually that flipped them all over. But if you're trying to flip all of them, I was trying to make sure that, you know, sometimes you might have a situation where you're stacking cards up and you've got some face up and face down, whatever. But over there, you can flip the entire stack over or shuffle it or whatever. So elf, this goes over here. And I need to save all of this and export it so that we've got, this is the HeroQuest basic game system set up right here. Kronos, so I was looking at what you were doing, Kronos Kyron. I did watch your videos yesterday. Kronos Kyron posted some videos of some work in Unreal Engine for like turn-based or some turn-based and some real strategy game design and stuff inside Unreal Engine. And so I was watching what you did over there. Midjourney created the tokens. Ghostly Karma says, hey, all. I hope you're all doing well and your week is going smoothly. I hope yours is too, Ghostly Karma. Let's see. You've activated my trap card. Now, eventually, I'm going to have to put Dragon Strike in here as well. Dragon Strike has trap cards. I'm going to have to put Dragon Strike in here eventually as well. It's very card heavy. Dragon Strike has a lot of cards. It has less tiles, but we're going to have to figure out. We might have to put Dragon Strike in there eventually too, because that's fun. Let's see. So I was showing you yesterday. So the move does, so you can automate actions, and I basically don't have any actions automated in here because most actions in HeroQuest are not automated. You're not trying to automate something. But for the sake of kind of learning how to do it, if you click move, then it does roll both of those dice. That wasn't working quite well yesterday, or maybe it was just being slow because, like I said, this is a lot for this to load. But if you do click move, it rolls both of your dice together. It's probably just as fast to click both of them. You can just click both of them for your move roll. Or if you need to, when you're casting a spell or something, you just need to roll one. You can just click on one and roll it. But if you click on move and it doesn't instantly roll the dice, give it like 3 or 4 seconds, and then it probably will load that. But the ability to automate that, especially rolls, you could actually automate a dice pool in here if you've got different dice and you're putting dice into a pool and then click move and it will only roll the ones that you actually physically drug into a pool. I was looking at that. That's pretty cool. I think I showed you yesterday that I had the combat dice working. I got a line here. So this is the attack dice. So if you need to roll 3 attack dice, you can just click the top 3 because people are going to be rolling different numbers of attack dice for different monsters or different heroes or different items they've got or something like that in special situations. So I think the best way to go is just to click down, like, oh, I'm attacking with 4 because I got like the battle axe or something. 1, 2, 3, 4, and just know the top 4, then 3 skulls right here. And that way you can also keep the reference up there so you know what you attacked with. And then whoever's defending down here, okay, I defend with 2, just click the top 2. If I'm Zargon, I got 1 black shield. So the attack dice work. Let's see. I got spells. I got the Zargon spells right here. All Zargon spells are loaded. You can see it's taking just a few seconds for them to all come in, but they do get here. So my thinking here is that if you're playing Zargon, I've got them off to the side here because not every game requires Zargon spells. But if you're playing Zargon, you can drag the spells over here to your hand and go, okay, so in this quest, I'm anticipating you're going to have to, I'm not putting the Zargon book on here. Or Morcar if you're over in the UK. I'm not doing that. So I'd be sitting here, if I'm playing Zargon, I'd have the Zargon book physically in front of me. So I'd be looking at how to run this game, and I go, oh, okay, so I need Fireball, and I need Rust for this game. And then I can flip this stack and keep those in my hand and then just stick the Chaos spells back over here because the rest of them won't be needed. You could stack them up over here so that, like you could stack all the unnecessary cards over here in the corner and make it kind of like the discard pile. You can make a discard pile over here. But that way, as Zargon, I know I've got Rust and Fireball down here to reference whenever I would need to play them against a hero. So Zargon spells are here. Flip stack. And then drop those spells over here. We got artifacts as well. So known issue. I need better artifact cards. Yeah. See, this is the old artifact cards. Okay, so let me talk about known issues. Because see, that's what I was afraid. That works. I mean, you can read that. Wizard staff, this long ancient staff, but it's not as good. So let's see here. Fixed artifact front cards. Card fronts. That's perfectly playable, but it won't take too long to fix that. But we got all of the artifact cards. So same way, if you're playing Zargon, you know what, if you're looking at the quest in advance, what type of artifact cards are going to be needed for the quest. You can drop them down here in your hand, scroll through them. Actually, probably what should happen is that Chaos, if a player is really being sneaky, then the player would know which card. I guess the players will know that some cards are gone from the stacks because it's got the numbers over there. But I guess that's not a problem. Chaos and Artifact need to flip out of hand. That way, so let's see if I need, so Wizard Staff is going to be in this, but then over here, people would know that Spell Ring if they look closely. So when I pull the artifacts out, they probably need to flip. Yeah. Especially the artifacts, because hey, you find this. I don't want have to remember to flip it over. If I say, hey, you find this, I want to be able to slide that over to the player and have it face down so they can have the sense of discovery and flip it face up. So artifact cards need to flip out of hand. I'm glad I'm doing this. I wasn't quite ready to have other people work with it right now, but close. Artifact cards, monster cards. You know, monsters in the game, and I'm going to verify this. I'm going to read through the entire rule book one more time. But the monster cards, all the monster stats, unlike in Dragon Strike, are supposed to be public information. So you do have the monster cards here. So the heroes can go through the monster deck, or you can put a monster card on the table. And then if you're broadcasting or streaming, then you can also hover over it so it lets people see what type of stats they've got. So those are there. And then, of course, what does everybody like? Well, of course, the treasure is here too. So we've got all 24 treasure cards right here that are loaded in, and those look pretty good. Very readable. There are 24 treasure cards, not all of them unique, but let's see. Oh, treasure cards. Treasure cards also need to flip out of hand. I wasn't thinking that most cards don't, you don't have to worry about that, but I guess there are actually reasons for that. Treasure cards need to flip out of hand. Flip stack, shuffle stack. So, all right, so I got it sitting over here. So if the hero searches for treasure and then, well, it's time for, there's no quest designated treasure. Well, you can just pull out the deck and tell the hero to the deck. And then the hero draws a card and flips it over. Oh, wandering monster. As you are searching, a monster stalks you and attacks. Zargon places the wandering monster listed in the quest book on any square next to you. The monster attacks immediately. Return this card to the bottom of the deck. So now here's how we're going to do that. Because, for a long time, when we were playing years ago, I didn't realize you were supposed to shuffle the treasure deck every time, because it says return this card to the bottom of the deck. The hazards you return to the deck, things that are good, you do not. That makes, as the quest goes, it progressively more dangerous to search for treasure. So if that were drawn, flip it over, and then Zargon can set it on the top, but then immediately do a shuffle the stack. Got to remember to shuffle the stack immediately. And now you can set it over here, and now the deck will be ready if you the hero searches for treasure again. Potion of Strength. So Potion of Strength go down to somebody's hand. You can reference that so the person would understand what Potion of Strength does. And then you'd set the treasure deck back over here. So, but you are supposed to shuffle the deck. So you're not supposed to just bury that that hazard card or something that's bad happens to the hero. You're not supposed to just bury that. Also, there are white sidelines on treasure. I think I should be able to get rid of those. That shouldn't be too difficult. Like that, the Potion of Strength has those white lines. I can make them black. They either need to be black, or maybe I can come up with a color or something. We will see. So that would be, and then if that's used, it can go down here. Like you could, if this is where the discard pile is, that once it's used, it can go over there to a discard pile. Or we could put a discard pile over here too. That would work. I think it's easier to put the discard pile over here because then you can grab the whole discard pile by the number. Or things that are not in use or have already been used during this game. So there we go. Oh, flip this over. I think this is fun. Flip stack. There we go. Oh, flip stack. Looks good to me. And then, of course, we'll have to put in other treasure cards when if we build out like the Elf Quest pack. I'm anticipating there being a completely different build. So this build is the basic build, but then if you're going on to other quest packs, which I'm not doing right now, there's plenty of HeroQuest to play just with this. You would have to build out a separate Killar's Keep or Return of the Witch Lord board or something like that. So known issues. Fix the artifact card fronts. They've got the old fronts on them. The Chaos deck needs to flip over when it comes out of hand. The artifact deck does too. The treasure deck does too. They're white sides on the treasure. But equipment cards, the North American version of the game did not come with equipment cards. The UK version did. So I've never had basic equipment cards, but it's optional. But I think I'm going to go ahead and put the equipment cards in because I think that's easier, or it does help you track one thing. Like the Barbarian here, it says starting weapon broadsword, starting armor none, wizard starting weapon dagger, elf starting weapon short sword. Do all the heroes defend with 2? Okay, so basic hero defense is 2. Okay. but then your attack die is based on what type of weapon you've got. And then later you can sell that weapon. That messed me up. I believe that was that last game when I brought in a new hero and I gave them a short sword or no, I gave them a crossbow or a broad battle axe or something like that. But I didn't realize, I think it was the crossbow. So I was short a melee weapon, but I actually wasn't because one of them had brought the melee weapon with them, but I had forgotten about that. Oh, see, this also says starting weapon hand axe. Okay, so this is really got to change. So fix hero cards is another known issue. Because the dwarf starts with a short sword. That's in the most classic game right here. But if they're the equipment cards, then you'd pass out the equipment cards. I'm going to have the equipment card for the weapon sitting right next to the character sheet, or the character card. So you take the character card and then you also take the weapon card, and that way you know that you've got it. So you can also sell it if you need money. If you get something else and then you don't need it, you can sell it. Or if you're trading with somebody, it's actually something physical to trade. So I'm going to put in the equipment cards. Likewise, that way if you buy equipment, you can just get a card. So I'm going to put in the equipment cards. A big thing that is missing here, obviously, and I am running out of space on this board for this, but something that is obviously missing here is furniture. So that's the big thing. I would say, besides these issues to fix up, the big thing that is not ready that you really need to play HeroQuest is the furniture. So not only am I pushing the graphics here to the extreme, but also I've got to put on something else as far as space on this whole screen goes, and that is the furniture. So furniture has got to come on here as well. That's a big thing. That's probably going to take the most amount of time. So equipment, fix hero cards, furniture. Gold. How do we track gold? Let's put in, this is another thing on there. How do you track gold? You could, well, I guess, so I can just type in 65 right here. There's no space over here, because by the time another player sits down, like if I were to stand up from this seat, there we go. So you can see, put this down here. I am running out of space. I got to sort this side easier. There's really no place to put another counter for gold. It would be nice to be able to track gold. If the players could track gold, they wouldn't need to track anything physically off of the screen, which would be nice. There's nothing really particularly wrong with that. Zargon's going to have physical stuff because Zargon's going to have the game rule reference and then also the quest book over here, like physically in front of them to run the game. So there's nothing particularly wrong with that. But if the hero picks up gold, it would be nice to be able to put some type of gold counter. Then people could also see how much gold they've got. So I was thinking about, like, you could do like a stack of gold coins that are sitting someplace, but I'm really running out of room. They're like in increments of 5, so that if you find some gold or something like that, in order to remember you've got that, put like a stack of 5 gold coins next to you or something like that, so you can stack that up. It's not really important to know how many gold coins somebody has got in the middle of a game, because gold is only expended in between games. But it would give the player also a way to count that, to track that without having to physically write it down, at least during the game. During the game, you're gonna have to remember between games what you've got. And from the gameplay perspective, from the streaming perspective, the other thing I was thinking, but again, we're just running out of room, would be something to indicate who has healing ability, the ability to heal. I mean, you could put magic versus potion and things like that. But if you've got, people want to know like how many hit points people have got, because that's going down. But one other thing beyond that, Yeah, I gotta. So another known issue is align body point and mind point counters, so they look a bit nicer. Is you could have something for the point for the purposes of streaming, something that indicates who has some ability to heal, whether that's a potion or something like that. But I think I'm just out of room. That way, at a glance, you could see, okay, they're down, but there's still 2 healing potions that the heroes have or something like that. But I think I'm just running out of room. What else? Okay, so that's basically it. The furniture is going to take the most amount of time. Fixing artifact cards, fixing treasure cards. The equipment cards, that'll take a little bit of time, but that's not that big a deal. Equipment cards. I'm running out of room for equipment cards, too. Fixing the hero cards, I got the wrong ones. That won't take too long. The furniture is going to take a while. Think about gold tokens, aligning the counters. That'll take a little bit of time, not much. And then saving and exporting. So I'm getting very close. I am getting very close. It's the furniture I got to get figured out. Let's see what's going on here. Hey, Retro Nerd Girl. Welcome. Good to have you lurking this morning. Hey, Dungeon Master. Dungeon Master says 12-year-old me is flipping out. Robert says, what software is this? This is, it's called Playing Cards. It's playingcards.io. I'll go over here. Might as well show it off. So the software this is running on is called playingcards.io right here. So if you go here, this is what it's running in. We looked at this in detail one day when we were looking at virtual tabletops, and we still need to go back and look at Foundry more from the GM's perspective. Neutromancer sent me some stuff to look at, and I didn't realize that I didn't get the message on Discord. So he sent us some stuff that we can log into to understand Foundry from the game master's perspective, because we looked at that from the player's perspective. So we still need to do that. But on the other hand, like I was saying yesterday, and I've repeated so many times, there's elegance in simplicity. There's elegance in simplicity. And playingcards.io does almost everything that I need it to do. It's lightweight. So, I mean, we're pushing it, but it does basically what I need it to do. And I can build all of this out comparatively quickly, to play a game of HeroQuest. Of course, there's obviously with these kinds of things, there's no rule enforcement. There's no AI. There's no rule enforcement. All we're doing is having an environment where all the players can sit down and manipulate the pieces just like they were if they were at the table. It's up to you to enforce rules and also cheating. Now, that's also kind of, if you're worried about the cheating thing, which like you really can't be, because in this kind of environment, yes, people could cheat. People can cheat if they're at your physical table. So if people are cheating, well, we're not doing anything here to try to enforce the cheating. But if you've got like the physical gold counters, and if you're counting the body points and mind points on screen, that does kind of make it harder for somebody to fudge it when it's like next to their, if it's just something physical that they're recording right here. So I guess that's an advantage to recording it digitally on the screen during the game too. Kind of keeps things very public and honest. So, I'm a fan of this. I'm a fan because it's lightweight, it's doable, and it just works. Let's see. Yeah, well, that's fixed race movement. Yes, that's fixing the whole hero card. So what needs to happen is I need to find the correct hero cards, which I think I know where I can get them. Of course, if I need to, I can just scan mine. But that's just the hero cards, and the racial movement is wrong. That does say short sword, so this is not right. It wouldn't be the end of the world if you played it like that, but I'm trying to make sure that the bog standard game is here. Stray says, can you OBS their gold and HP and MVP? I could, but I want to do a tech test with this so that and see if I don't have to go through OBS. Because the more things that you have to, obviously, the more things you have to go through. The more different systems you have to use, the more difficult it is. So I'm hoping that I can just go straight from StreamYard with this. If I'm running out of room, then yes, I could. But that does mean that I would have to track that. It would be nice. Like, I'm trying to use as few different systems as possible. So the most direct way is to just stream this from a browser window, my browser window, because obviously I'll have to have the browser window up in order to play the game. So I'll have this up in one window. Will have this game. We're talking about streaming for dinner and a board game. One window will have this up. One window will have StreamYard up. And then everybody be logged into StreamYard. So everybody will have two windows up on their computer, the game window and the StreamYard window. I could pass it through OBS to keep track of all that. But if I do that, then I have to change that because no other player will have the ability to change that. An advantage to this is that every player can manage their own body and mind points. And when they just manage themselves and it updates on the screen. So that would be nice. Nightmare says, I agree that simplicity is golden. No, I'm not programming this. No. I'm not programming this. This playingcards.io. No, I am not programming this. I built this out inside an existing system. I did not program this. Playingcards.io is not mine. I'm not sure exactly who uses this. But I mean, it also has other games already built in. So it's designed for card games, but you can do checkers, you can do chess, browse all games. It's got backgammon. This has got some classic old school games in it. Dominoes, Crazy Eights. So all of this also means that for Go Fish, but this also means that for like the digital coffee shop, all of these games would be available. Oh, hell, I used to play that quite a bit. But no, I did not create this system. Don says, I love HeroQuest. It's what got me into fantasy RPGs as the gateway drug. It's true. That was my first introduction into the whole genre of fantasy tabletop gaming completely. Yeah, I'm building out the game. Yeah. And I'm almost done. So we'll have it soon. So that's basically what I got. That's the update. So that's the update. So tomorrow it might be ready. So if it is, then rather than doing world building Wednesday tomorrow, we might do a tech demo of this. And actually and try it out from the streaming perspective and things like that. If I do that, well, I'll invite people on. And that way I can see how it works with multiple people too. But fun. All right. What else? Okay, so next, while I was thinking about this, Ron says, can others play it after you build it? Like, will it exist on the site? It's not going to exist like on all of their games. No. But other people should see the way this works is that this is going to be a room. Although all the rooms are temporary, like I said, that's why I've got to make sure that I export it. Because all the rooms are temporary. All rooms are erased after 30 days of inactivity. But if I want to, come down here. That's okay. That's help and documentation. Edit table is right here. So this is where I can edit all of the stuff or add new stuff to the table. Counter right here. One thing I've got to figure out how to do, later, I want to be able to, if I do something like it's not my fault. I need to be able to do custom aspects. I might be able to do that with the text here, but I gotta, we just gotta see. But anyway, so I can change change room options. Everybody's cursor should look different, by the way. So if you're streaming, you should be able to see everybody's different cursor in different colors. That way, if somebody's saying, "Hey, I want to look over here," you should be able to draw your attention to somebody. But other people, what I was trying to show you, there we go, is that so share room code. So if I share the code to the room, other people can come into the room. So that's how you get other people into this room in order to play this game, like this particular room. So you share the room code to bring people in. I've looked everywhere. What are the details to cost to be a member? You're talking about members of the channel. There's a $4.99 level and there's a $7.99 level or $7.50 level. There's a $4.99 level. You should see a click like become a member button beneath the stream. You should see a become a member button beneath the stream. Sorry. No, join. It's join. If you click join, that should be all of your information. It should be beside the subscribe button. So if you click join, that should give you all of the information. I still got to get some things sorted out there because I was originally just going to have one level, but then I realized for some reason you couldn't gift memberships to the channel. And we tried to figure that out for a while. But as it turns out, you can only gift memberships that are at a $4.99 level. So I just created another $4.99 level, and that way people can gift memberships. I got to sort out some of the other membership issues for $4.99 and $7.99. Okay, so what does that actually mean? Because things have been evolving and changing, but I just put out the $4.99 level so that actually people can gift and give each other memberships. But click the join button. Join should tell you all of that. Robert says persistence remains elusive. He's working on a AI text adventure. Tomocrat asks, is this the basic HeroQuest or the expansion? The expansions are not added. The expansions are not added. So what I would have to, so in order to do that, like if I'm going to build that later, because like I said, I think there are 15 quests in the core system. So there's plenty of HeroQuest to play in the core system already. Although I do want to move on to Return of the Witch Lord. Originally, if you've seen the what was the new pilot of Dinner and a Board Game, so there's gonna be like there's been like 3 different pilots of Dinner and a Board Game, but the second pilot of Dinner and a Board Game, we played HeroQuest on our 3D board physically. They played one of the quests with the Witch King in it. And I won't tell you what happened. But that was a great quest if you haven't seen that. But there's a follow-up quest, and then that leads directly into Return of the Witch Lord. And so I would like to build that out. But what will happen is there'll be a whole separate room. This is just the basic game. I'll just build a whole separate room. I'll copy this room and then build a separate room to add in the stuff for Return of the Witch Lord. But I'm not ready for that yet. So right now, this is just basic game. Michael says, all we need is a candlestick, rope, knife, lead pipe, or revolver. Boy, you could totally play Clue in this. Man, Clue is one. If we can bring multiple people on for Dinner and a Board Game, we've been very HeroQuest heavy. That's okay, especially when I was trying to set up everything physically here. I'm not sure what we'll do this Friday night. But, this Friday, because I'm not sure where I'm going to be with Dinner and a Board Game. I could do another game physically. Or we could do something else. But, making a digital Clue, man, Clue is maddening because we played it a lot. I played a lot of Clue. Clue can be maddening because it has the random element. It's a highly analytical game. I mean, when we sit down to play Clue, man, everyone is like almost dead silent except for the clues they're asking for the players. And I mean, everybody is scribbling furiously at their notes and things like that. But it's frustrating because there's a random element. You can be perfectly analytical in that game and still have a random element that will cause you to lose. And my brother didn't like that. He was like, man, I had it all figured out, but the random element had caused him to lose. So randomness can cause that. I mean, that's just part of that game. But we play in a highly analytical way. But if the randomness screws you over, there's nothing you can do. So I think my brother was like, I tell you what, this is ridiculous. Like, I had it all figured out, but the randomness caused me to lose. I have no idea. Why don't we all just solve a math problem? The games can be solve a math problem. Everybody we'll put a math problem out and the first person to solve it wins. There, it's just an analytical game. But Clue would be a good one for dinner and a board game. You could totally build this out. It'd be a lot easier than this. You could totally build Clue out in this system and play a game of Clue. That would be fun. So if the Witch Lord's returning, where do you go? Well, he was banished, and then he came back, and he was banished again, and then he's returning. He was in the base set. Yeah, you deal with him in the basic set here, and then you have to deal with him again. Oh, I don't know. You would think they would have phone stuff. You would think they would have the ability to be on the phone. Now I'm on the computer and I see it. I don't know. Clue isn't hard, really, and the random dice element is the only way that you have any question about who's going to win. Otherwise, it would always just be the first person to move. Is that true? Well, we'll have to think about that. But it's possible. I'm not sure if it's the first person to. You might be right. But if you are highly analytical about it, it's possible for several people to all figure out who the bad or who the murderer is and all of the information at the same time. Now, because there is another random element to it, and the random element to it is what cards you start with. So another random element is the starting clues that you have. So that also influences it. And I think that's what I was thinking about when I was saying it's possible for several people to know instantly if they're all following analytically what's going on. And then the next player would actually get to win. But it might be that some people might not know based on the cards that they have or something like that. I don't know. Next, build the WoW game board. Maybe we have to play Clue. If we had the ability to do this, it might even be fun to do dinner and board game more than once a night. So, all right. Hey, we got 30 people here. We've got 30 people here. So please do click the like button and subscribe. It'd be great to have you subscribe. If you happen to find your way here, hit the like button so that try to get the algorithm to put this out more. So please do hit the like button. And then if you're not subscribed because you found it here because of the algorithm, please do hit subscribe. All right. Oh, thank you very much for the super chat, Brett. $1.99. Thank you very much, Brett. This is pretty exciting what you're building. Thank you. I think everything I'm trying to build over here that we talk about on this channel is exciting. So yes, this is not only this, but I just get in motion. I've got in motion, and then you have ideas and start building things out and stuff like that. So there's not only this that's being built out, but there is a bunch of other stuff that's being created here too. So this is why this is the creativity place. We've got a bunch of creative people here. This is we talk about stories and review things, and we'll talk about some different. I've got a whole bunch of different movies and things like that I need to watch. And we can talk about those too. But for the most part, I like talking about things that we're doing, things that are positive, things that we are creating, because there's so many places you can go on the internet and especially on YouTube to talk about how much you hate stuff. Okay, let's talk for a moment about. I'm going to take some notes here on Westmarches. I'm going to take this down and bring up something to take notes in. Let's see. Because let's see here. Present, share screen. There we go. So actually I have to click. There we go. Westmarches notes. Because it occurred to me like late last night after I was already up late trying to hammer away to get all this done, but I didn't get to the furniture. So that's all that I got to. But as I was hammering this away, I was also thinking about our Westmarches ideas here. So is it do people type it that way? I don't know. But anyway, I was thinking, you know, in a certain sense, HeroQuest does this. Now, I wouldn't actually try to play a Westmarches game with HeroQuest, but I was thinking that, you know, HeroQuest is location specific. Let me. HeroQuest is about adventure in a single location. This is so it is quest. Obviously, it's HeroQuest, but about adventure in a single location. It is focused on a quest per session. And you know, when I was talking about Fated Edge, and Fated Edge was the RPG I was developing, but by the way, I need to put that on my project list as well. Although I kind of slid that to the background because so many other people are making RPGs and there are other things to focus on at the moment. But you know, that was supposed to be session focused. And I want so session focused play happened to be the case with that as well. So I was thinking, no, wait a minute, what are we doing here? But HeroQuest also has a focus of one quest per session. So what do you need? Well, you need good rules for a quest. But you also need, we were talking about what rule system to use, but you also need good rules for a hex crawl. And what people put this recommendation in the chat because they don't have to come from the same place. What system should we look at here? What system has the best rules for, or what RPG or what rule set, what RPG system has the best rules for wilderness travel, or just wilderness travel? It's going to be a lot of wilderness as far as Westmarches goes, but wilderness travel and or well, hex rolls. What recommendations? I got my notes over here. What recommendations do you have? Because that's something that we should look at. We haven't really specifically looked at travel rules. What rules should we look at here on the grind? Who is doing that well? I do want to look at the One Ring. Some people are saying that that's great because it has journey rules. The One Ring journey rules. Some people are saying those are great. Some people are saying those are terrible. So I want to look at them myself because when I thought about this, I was going, oh, wait a minute. Doesn't the One Ring have journey rules? It was not in the basic One Ring box that we looked at. Whenever that was, we looked at the One Ring box. But I do have the full One Ring rule book over here, and it should have the journey rules in it. This also makes me wish that I could find the Decipher. See, it may be outdated as far as game design thinking, maybe, but Decipher's peril system that was in its Moria box. If I could find that, I would take a look at that. see, we've kind of skipped over hex crawling in a lot of the games that we've looked at, so we could go back through and we could do a dedicated study of hex crawling. But I'm wondering, sort of the crowdsourcing the information here of all the different boxes or games that we've got over here, which one of these has actually got a really good system for overland travel? But good system, what does it mean to have a good system anyway? Well, that can mean a lot of things depending on what your play style is and what you really want to do with yourself and the game, because you can spend a lot of time hex crawling. But in the context, so anyway, in the context of Westmarches, it seems like it needs to be short, fast. Because if you're going to be playing, if we're session focused here and you're starting from a home base and you're going to go out to explore, hey, that hex over there, it needs to be short and fast. Because if you've got a 3-hour play session, let's say you're building around a 3-hour. Now, it could be your play session is going to be 3 hours. Now, it could be as short as 2 hours, and it could be as long as 4. But let's make that the outside. If we have a bell curve distribution, let's say that the Westmarches session is going to be 3 hours. Some might be as short as 2, because sometimes you just may not have more than 2 hours. You got to get it done in 2 hours. Sometimes you may do as long as 4. So you go, but that's on the extreme end. If we're talking about a bell curve centered on 3 hours, a lot of people aren't going to have 4 hours to sit down and play. But some games might take a little bit more than 3 hours or whatever. So you're going to the other side. So I'm thinking a bell curve centered on 3-hour sessions. How much time do you want to spend on the travel? So this means that short and fast, this means that all travel needs to be resolved in 30 to 40 minutes, 45 minutes. And that's to location. That's travel to location. Travel home is either abstracted away completely. Once you complete the quest, you get home, or needs to be played in about 10 minutes. So we're talking about travel systems to look at. We do need systems that need to be fast, because you don't, if you've got 3 hours and you start the timer and you spend 30 minutes getting to a location, then that would give you 2.5 hours for the actual quest. I mean, you're eating into your quest time and your adventure in that location, because I think the majority of the game is actually based around that location. I mean, so I'm thinking, and so it seems to be the case. So that means that you've got to have a travel system that gets you there fast, but it also needs to be meaningful. It needs to impact, and by this, it needs to impact the quest at the location. And it needs to involve player choice, because otherwise, why do it? I mean, if it's not going to impact the quest in any way, then why do it? And in that case, I'm kind of looking at something like 5e resource management, right? Because if you're going to have all of your hit points back, if you're going to have all of your spells back, if it's not going to take up any type of resources or that you're going to have that's going to impact your ability to explore your location, then why even do it? I mean, why even do that? Oh, these goblins, we're going to run, we encountered some goblins. That does mean, by the way, which means encounters have to be done fast. Or it means that, encounters have to be done fast, or it means that players can choose to explore something other than their original goal. Oh, we were going to go over here, but then when we stopped when we went to this hex, we saw that there was some really neat thing here that we're going to explore instead. So that would be player choice. That would be player choice. Do we, hey, we found this really neat thing. Maybe we found it because we're lost or whatever. We might not exactly be able to find it again because the players won't have access to a accurate game master map. So that would make sense. As well, that would impact the location and needs to involve player choice. Otherwise, don't do it. Otherwise, don't do it. So let me see what's going on in the comments. What system does that? And by the way, another one that we could look at, I have not played in a while. We wanted to build out. Now, hey, I could build out Gloomhaven. I don't know if I can build out Gloomhaven in playingcards.io. That'd be some other way to do that. But, something like Gloomhaven, because Gloomhaven, and that may be too light. It may be too light on the travel. That's kind of what I'm remembering. I'm thinking it might be too light. But Gloomhaven, your play session is session focused. I mean, is adventure focused in its location, but there is travel, but the travel might be too light. Mainly, Gloomhaven's about playing, and I haven't played Frosthaven yet, but Gloomhaven's mainly about playing at an adventure location. But what else do I have that we need to look at? Let me see what people are saying in the comments here. Oh, lots of people are. Okay, lots of comments here. Oh, thank you, Stray. I forgot to post that. Ravenkeep Discord. Yes, please do hit up the Ravenkeep Discord. Yeah, which not everybody does. Which not everybody does. Arguably, it's more fun. It could be more fun if you realize you're talking about Clue, that everybody's not playing it as a complete logic puzzle to be solved. But as soon as one person starts that, it's like, wait a minute. Because I remember, like, surely there's some way that you can just dominate Clue. And then and then one person gets really intensely analytical, and everybody's like, wait a minute, what's going on? And then other people get intensely analytical, and then only the intensely analytical people will play with each other. The casual people won't play with each other anymore. Lady of Pain says, a campaign hub, adventure prep and equipment, journey to the destination, main thing, return to Stronghold. This cycle happens every game session with whoever shows up. Yes. Okay. Actually, I like that. Let me post that over here. So this is the cycle. What do you need? So rules for every part of that. Rules for the following things. This is what you need. Rules for campaign hub. And this can be downtime. And things not done at the table. That's one of the reasons that I like a default kind of thing about maybe you're not rolling dice. When you are not, we talked about this during our design. How much time we got here? Still got a few more minutes. We're going to continue this discussion, obviously. But when you are not, then you don't need to roll dice. So if you're at the campaign hub, you're not under pressure. You are not. You can do things not at the table, which might not involve rolling dice. Right. So if you brought back some herbs or whatever, and you're trying to brew a potion or something like that, you need to be able to do that away from the table. You don't have to. I don't want to take up time with that because I don't want to take up time with that. But nonetheless, you sit down, you have the hub thing. So yes. Prep and equipment. So adventure prep and equipment. Now, ideally, some of that, like what are we doing? Or where are we going? In a Westmarches style game, that should be communicated beforehand. It might not ideally. It might not in practice, but it should be because the game master's got to prep something. But adventure prep and equipment. There needs to be time for that. Journey. Yep. Journey. Main quest. Return voyage. or return journey. AGD says Westmarches games are different than Mega Dungeons, although many of the same concepts are parallel between these two old school styles of campaign. Yeah, it seems like you could run it as a big mega. Seems like you could run it as a big Mega Dungeon if you didn't want to do hex crawling. It seems like you could do it as a big Mega Dungeon, and you could probably incorporate Mega Dungeons too. But there would have to be like a home base outside the dungeon, which sounds like exciting. Sable says, if you have, say, a static amount of movement every turn, then the only variable should be the hand of card. Oh, this is going back to Clue. Someone who's good at math should then calculate how many turns they would need. Forbidden Lands. Role-playing as smart people recommend Forbidden Lands as a hex crawl. Okay, so we've got Stray and TSL Frontman and Forbidden Lands. So let me go over here to my notes. Do I have Forbidden Lands on here? I do not. And by the way, I'm a big fan of what Mark Tassin is talking about with modules. Instead of saying basic and advanced rules, and it sounds like, oh, you start down here and you're supposed to get more advanced. I'm a big fan of his modular system that's like, well, we've got the core rules, but just because you're adding something on doesn't mean something's getting more complicated. You might add another module that actually simplifies something. So main quest rules, by the way, I just say, so I would want, it's possible to do two different modules. So you would need a module that allows level up. I think that's the point of that. Level up of the character, however that's done. And then also a module that allows for like gold acquisition, gold and raw materials. I'm using gold generally here, but some kind of monetary system so you can go and purchase things later. Otherwise, a module, and this is Dragon Strike. When I compared HeroQuest and Dragon Strike, I did if you haven't seen that and you're into HeroQuest, you're thinking about Dragon Strike, I did one of the morning grinds on comparing HeroQuest and Dragon Strike after I played Dragon Strike. I did a complex breakdown on that and what both of them does. Dragon Strike doesn't have gold because you always discover things that are useful to you right away. Otherwise, a module, because I think you want this in Westmarches, but you could completely do a different kind of style. Otherwise, a module that has all equipment immediately usable. Because like in HeroQuest, you can find gold, but it doesn't help you unless you are actually playing a campaign and then you use the gold in between the sessions to buy something else. And sometimes you don't even have enough gold to do that, especially early on in the game. Otherwise, you could have all equipment be immediately usable. In Dragon Strike, you're never going to find gold. You're going to find magic items that are immediately going to help you right there, but you don't get to take them away with you. And I don't think that's the kind of thing that you would want for a Westmarches style game. But you the same game system, the same main quest rules could allow for either one of those. But these are the modules that you'd want to use for Westmarches, I believe. Let me see. Lots of comments going on here. BGD says, I think the main requirement for a Westmarches campaign is just shared world defined and described in the form of a point crawl with a collection of geographically distributed points of interest within reach of a more centralized base of operations for a rotating cast of PCs. Yes. Now, you're talking about, so you could do this in a central way, too. I was kind of thinking about coming on and then the frontier is that way. But centralizing it could also be centralizing the home point hub could also work. That way, you got more directions to potentially explore. Now, I know a way to do that. Because I was thinking about this, and ideally, ideally, because I like the general systems, ideally, also usable for more than one world. I like that because the classic fantasy, we do classic fantasy. It seems like would want to, but if you were doing other worlds, you could do it, other different worlds to experience. You could do it in different ways. And actually, what you're talking about, I happened to think of one that starts you off in a central location. Actually, it would be based on the Theophany world, which we haven't talked a whole lot about, but it's one of the worlds that I'm working on later. You would start off in a central location, and I know exactly how to do that. BGD says the actual rule sets that you plug into that shared world framework are largely secondary, so long as you can plan and play a narrative satisfying session in the allotted amount of time. Yes. So also, this is in no particular order as far as these notes go, but you're talking about prep time as well. A shared framework, easy to create locations and determine the contents of hexes. I mean, they can't be gigantic locations if you got to solve them. If you're not doing some type of mega dungeon Westmarches campaign, you got to put together dungeons that are basically, or dungeon in the broad sense of the term, that are basically small, and those need to be easy to create. Needs to have some kind of system. That cycle I based on a 3-hour game, 15, 15, 30, 30, 30, 60. Ryan says, I was under the impression there is a difference between Westmarches and Sandbox. A Westmarches style game has multiple adventuring parties, either competing against one another or not, but both impacting the shared world. Well, yeah, I think you're right. Now, I mean, I suppose a Westmarches game could be a sandbox, but I've played in sandboxes games where, yeah, you don't necessarily have multiple parties and a stable of PCs and things like that. So yeah, you could hex crawl, but see, that seems to be, you can make the hex crawl an adventure. Yes, you can absolutely do that. In a more traditional D&D game, you might spend all 3 hours just on the travel. But that seems like what you don't do in a Westmarches game. BGD says the other key feature of a Westmarches campaign is the defined areas of interest on the shared world map are only starting points. Players shape the world with their interests and actions over time. Yes. Lamentations does this. Moss Ritter does this. Any OSR game is designed for this kind of play. Don says, this is very interesting, Heath. A lot of homebrew rules online for this very purpose for HeroQuest. Well, that's what got me thinking about that, so I don't know if I finished that thought. But a lot of homebrew rules online for this very purpose for HeroQuest. Because it seems like you could do it. Now, you would need travel, right? There are probably homebrew rules for HeroQuest travel, but then you do some travel and then you play... and then you play basically a HeroQuest game and then get back home. So that's something to look at. Again, travel is the main thing too. You have to manage your resources not only to run the dungeon, but to get there and back. Exactly. Yeah. So that's why it has to be meaningful. If the rules you're using for your travel don't include, because it's got to be dangerous to get out there. It's got to be meaningful. And if it's not meaningful, if it's not a meaningful part of your adventure writ large, the idea of the adventure, yes, the travel is part of the adventure. Then we shouldn't have it. Just say that you get to the dungeon if it's not meaningful. Yep, carve the map into the tavern table. This is one reason why early D&D was so table heavy and random encounter heavy, not just for combat like a war game, but for dynamically generating the world. So yeah, I feel like that needs to exist before it gets started, especially if there are multiple game masters. what type of, and you can obviously update that during play, but start with something that's like, all right, what is it? What system? Basically an algorithm. You know, it's a manually run algorithm that's going to create this world. What is it? Okay, I'm going to save these notes as well because I've got more to think about on that. If you have good travel rules that fit that, let me know. We're going to look at a couple. We're going to look at, see if I can find that Moria book, I'll get it. And we'll look at the One Ring. But we'll return to both of these ideas. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Could be world building, but I'm going to try to attack and get that HeroQuest thing done, trying to get things done. If I sit down and spend all day on a single task, stuff gets done, but then nothing else gets done. I mean, ideally, that would be nice. I think it would be fun. That would be an idea that I've had, because I think it would be fun if there were a way for us to play a Westmarches style game all together. I think that would be fun, and put that, like, use the digital coffee shop as the hub. That's kind of what I was thinking. I think that would be fun if it could work. That's kind of been in the back of my mind. It's another kind of project that's been in the back of my mind. Is I think it would be fun if we had the digital coffee shop going, and then you come in and you could play Westmarches games. Yeah, exactly. Sometimes it's worth it to focus on just one thing to cross it off the list. Exactly. Move the big rocks. But often my big rock, I've got a bunch of huge rocks. All right, everybody. I am out of here. I'm going to try to get some work done. Although, please do join us tonight. Join us tonight. Table Talk tonight. James Bacon in the chat right now. You know him from the chat. He's going to be on the stream tonight, 7 o'clock Central Time, talking about the Heroine's Labyrinth. Doug will be here as well. I got to set up that thumbnail like now, so it'll be there, so you can click on it. If you can click the reminder. So 7 o'clock tonight, be with us for the discussion. I will see everybody later. Have a good day. Be productive, be creative, and grind on. Later.